One time it took me 3 hours.
I believe it.
Because I had my dog up there, my stepdad had his dog up there, so I was trying to go back to pick him out and come back to the city, and I was like, I was only there for a month, and I spent like so much money on the eye patch,
I can't even imagine.
Get hit every time I get out of the court. This that's just looking really so crooked. Is that just I see the right side there, on his right. Something wrong, man.
It's all twisted.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. This side's twisted. Because he. I think that's all I really need to do.
Alright, I'm going to step over. I'm going to bring you a couple of chairs here.
Okay, can you hold it for a second? I'll take your shoe.
So was it very stressful because it was stressful with the car accident, or was
Yes.
it because of his behavior?
Yeah, no, he was
Well, once we
fine.
slowed down in traffic, he was barking at the semis driving by.
Oh,
Just the size of the trucks and stuff. He was just barking at, growling at stuff as we were sitting in traffic, moving, inching, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Were you correcting him at all?
Was not correcting him that
Okay.
no. Yeah.
So that stuff you can correct.
Okay.
Anything you disagree with, and usually what I tell people is, if they question if they should correct behavior, they probably should.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of them recognizing. Depending on the case, like this guy was a more extreme case,
Yeah.
that I'm on every little thing. Whereas other dogs, like if they're completely fine, and the owner's like, yeah, I don't care if they bark at me. Alright, I don't care if they bark at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we just go according to the context. So for a guy like him, the more you show him out consistently, the better.
Okay.
So how'd it go this week?
You know, we had a crazy busy week, so we didn't get to do the vacuum drill like we wanted to. Yeah, it was we had a hellacious week this week, but yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't know if you noticed anything when you were walking with him, but I, continue to be on a positive path with, not reacting to cars, trucks, even other dogs anymore. Like, he's still putting his head down to go past rather than engage. The only time we were a little bit off track was this asshole dog that lives on the corner from us. That people leave him, they'll put him out in the yard, and he like sneaks up on you, like he like attacks you. So we had one just encounter with him this week, but again, it wasn't Doug's fault.
Yeah. Okay. What's your number?
65.
Okay, it looks like it's going to really loose though. I'm going back down. Right there. Wait a moment. There you go, then relax. So that whole time he was living, when you heard him grumbling,
Yeah.
and it got prolonged, and then it was too long, he exploded. So you'd be more proactive there.
Okay.
The moment you start hearing the grumbling, you want to start disturbing the
Okay.
So now, because I put him, I don't know if you know about last week, but we put him under a lot of pressure with the sleeve here. Remember with the sleeve when I was patted down, how angry it would make him?
Yeah.
We did that last
Yeah.
week, and we finally got him to back off. So now that I've put him under so much pressure, I'm not his favorite person.
Yeah.
So here, 95 to back him off. So the moment you start hearing grumbling and stuff, you want to be on the collar.
Okay.
And then bumping it until we get him to back off.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, you were saying that you're a positive path,
Yeah, so he had an interaction through the fence with the other dog. And I, at the time, I didn't have the collar on him, because I was walking him with the other dogs. But that was the only kind of issue that we had that, he engaged initially, but then kind of took off just because we were surprised through the fence. Yeah,
Okay.
but it wasn't him that went after, we were attacked. And then he kind of held his ground for a second, and then we moved along.
Gotcha.
But yeah, otherwise, behavioral wise, on our normal training, he's been fine. We haven't had any other incidents.
So with and you said that's the dog behind the fence?
I'm sorry?
You said that's the dog behind the fence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So dog comes charging, catches you off guard.
Yes.
He has a moment.
Yes.
And then you
And then
Correct
went
enough.
out. Yeah.
And
And then
then-
moved on.
he just let it go.
Just let it go.
Okay.
And he normally does. It's the other two that are crazy. But yeah, it was really the only kind of odd circumstance that we ran into this week. Otherwise, we've been on path with pretty much everything.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna see here, we're gonna see what stuck from last time. It's really a lot of repetition.
Sure.
Until we see consistency, because I have to push beyond what's realistic. Because at some point, I expect someone's gonna do something,
Right.
and then it's gonna push them over thresholds, that's why we push them up more. So we're at 95 now, I'm gonna put them down to 70 here, 76. Ease up a little bit on that tension. There you go. Good.
So is he loading now with the grumbling or?
He let it go.
Okay. So you didn't correct that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I let it go. So this is what I want to see. One tap, right? There was only one tap right there. There we go. Because I saw, so with the hits, because we're at a higher level, you have to give the brain time to have the response. Because it's a hard hit, so it's like if somebody punches you like, ow, but his reaction is more over the top. So in total so far, I've probably been tapping like 6, maybe 8 times. And once I start to see him, like when you saw that bigger spiel, I actually wasn't tapping.
Okay.
That was just him letting out everything in response to the caller. Then I started doing this again, right, which you saw the first class, how bad that was. Last class it was bad. This is way better
Yeah.
than the last one. Yeah. So that's the whole purpose of this. Oh, remember the third class I had with you?
Yeah.
How extreme that was?
Yeah.
So, but I'm pushing more. So before it was just me getting into your space, and we had to ride for like a few minutes before you backed off.
Sure.
But it made that context easier.
Yeah.
And then when we went to the context of, I'm back to doing this, which is something that he really, really does not like, we were back at that extreme again. Even like 2 to 3 foot, I would say, like in terms of length of time, to get him finally back off. And then now this is, 96 to 8 taps, and he's already backing off of this, which was a big problem.
Right. And you're way closer too.
Yeah. Good. Let me have you just circle around and kind of center yourself here.
Okay. Doug, heel.
It is right there. So I'm going to come from behind here. Spread that out. And let's go.
next, Jesse.
Yeah, oh yeah, we did the paws last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the last thing we wrapped up on. See what's
Side eye.
Yeah. So this, yep. So I was only one tap. The rest is him. Okay, letting him get all the energy out. There we go. So this is why the repetition is so important. Is he goes, all right, Jesse's touching my leg. Okay, if I act out, the tap kicks in. If I don't act out, nothing happens. Okay, so all that was thinking right there.
So now he's processing it.
Yeah, and then he lets it go. Yeah. Good. So I could be more proactive and like tap here to stop the grumbling. I'm actually at 60. So we got that done at 60. We go down to lower. We go down to 35. So I back off. Good. When I see relaxation. And he started saluting last time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, did she tell you about that? She told me that, yeah. Good. So when I'm in there, you can see where his comfort level is, because obviously he wasn't letting that go. But he was kind of going back and forth. So then I go, okay, I can either stay here and ride this out. I could correct him for the growling, or I can step off when I see this. When he gave relaxation, I pulled the sleeve away. He crumbled again. When he relaxed again, I actually stepped out of the personal space, right?
Yeah.
Because dogs, so when I get for an easy example is dogs that fight within the home. Almost always when the fight happens, the owner will separate the dogs as the fight is happening. You just pull them apart and throw them in different rooms. And they're like, oh my God, right? And then 2 hours later, they bring the dogs out, boom,
Right
back into a fight again. So let's say the walking past the yard. If I'm walking past and the dog is barking behind the yard and this dog reacts, even if I tap him, if the last thing was pretty much I was lunging and barking at that dog, the next time I go back to lunging and barking. So we disengage them and then repeat it 2 to 3 times. They don't have to be perfect with obedience. They just have to be not reactive. Then I leave.
So should I have gone, I should have gone back? See, I
That would
gotta
be my thing,
get
yeah.
out of that. I gotta get out of the flight thing. So we left. So
Yeah.
I should have gone back and forth.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that he thinks, okay, I had a moment, I was corrected, and I have to go back and forth
Okay.
2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
As long as he's not like this, okay?
Right.
If he's stressed about the moment, that's fine, because that dog's putting out threat. But the last thing he remembers was, I was non-reactive,
Right.
and I was more relaxed.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
then, and you just keep doing that anytime that happens, if possible, and it starts to like just stack on itself. And eventually a dog will come out and he'll look and he'll just,
Well, now I'm gonna start going and aggravating that dog. I'm gonna do it on purpose.
Yeah, he's bad.
That dog is a jack off.
just be mindful, because I've been yelled at
No, I
about my
know.
dog owners.
I
Just a heads up there. But we're
That's what I always tell
serious.
them. I'm like, my guys are free range because we're walking him on leashes. That guy's trapped me. He's like in a zoo. He never leaves his yard.
Yeah, it's a lot of frustration there,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Although he didn't jump when we left just then. Last week he was really jumpy.
That's correct. That's a good observation there. And he was really like moving his feet last time.
Yeah.
He was like tucking them in like that.
It was like tripoding, yeah.
Yeah, so this is all good. Good. easier than last time. Last time we were at 127 continuous for a few minutes before you turned it back
Yeah.
off. Let me check something real quick. That's pretty good.
No, this is way better than last week.
Yeah, everything other than
What we're gonna do here is go ahead and pass the end of your handle.
That's through the handle?
Yep. Good.
Are you pulling him over yet? Oh, so he doesn't want to. This is what you were talking about last week.
Yeah, with my pants.
Yeah.
Jackson, Texas.
Trapped them
Yep.
right in the middle here.
But he's not backing away to try to escape though, is that good?
Yeah, like the brain gets locked up because he doesn't know what to do.
Oh, okay.
It's just part of the process, which is why we trap him like this.
It doesn't have the jumpy tension though, like
No.
it did last week.
Okay. Tip, 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 tip. What's the number on that?
65.
Okay. Out of tension though. Very stiff.
It's different, like last week he was jumping, this week it's more like
Yeah.
clenching.
You see, as soon as I take the pressure off,
Yeah.
how much tension like he's just loading there? Yeah. Ooh, stay at the office.
Oh, his face, like he hates that he picked up. Oh, he let you do it this morning. It grumbled too much.
So he's super tight, intense, obviously. So then here, so there's different components to this. There's me coming into your space when you have him, and then there's him coming into my space. Now we didn't make him come into my space, I just took him and pulled out the picture. Him coming to my space would be promoting him to come to me by his decision, which we usually see a lot of resistance because the brain's like, no.
Right.
So when you see them buck back a lot, that's usually when dogs will piss and shit because they're so scared of going to the person that they'll expel themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not just like moving to him all the time, it's also getting him to move to us. Because part of the hump is he doesn't want to do it. So if someone drags you to a party that you don't want to go to, you don't have a good time.
Right.
Because you didn't want to go there in the first place.
Right.
Unless something happens at that party, like, oh, like your favorite person is here, or like a celebrity is here, right? And you're like, what? All of a sudden change your mind.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you're not wanting to do something, you just go with that mindset. Same thing for dogs. So, in 10 years of training, so far, if I have a dog and I try to pull them towards me physically, they'll buck and bronk and they'll be hyper aggressive when they're in the person's space. If I remote them and they ultimately make the decision to come to me, we see no aggression.
Yeah.
Because the dog already got over that hump.
It's a change of mindset. Yeah.
Exactly, it's that decision of, okay, I guess I'm gonna do it, as opposed to I don't wanna do it and you're just physically forcing me to,
Yeah.
right? So here, by taking the handle and you backing out, was kind of like a little workaround, just to bring him into here. Because this wasn't so much about getting him into my space, as it was being able to corner him without giving him, because last week he kept scooting,
Going around, yeah.
and we just kept circling, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta pin him. So I just grab him, and he goes, oh. Well, I guess that's that, right?
Yeah.
And get him over that hump. So. I know, but it's so much tension.
So if we weren't here, would you be still acting the same way?
Maybe, just because we were already in the context.
Yeah.
Right? So he's kind of left with it, and then if it was like 10, 15 minutes or whatever, you could let it go. But when you left, like the only thing we really saw was after he was dropped off, a little bit of a grumble when I approached the kennel. And then another grumble when we went to touch the collar to rotate it.
Yeah.
And other than that, he was fine. Good. So if you look at how I hold the leash, it's up and angled away. So in case he triggers, when he starts to lunge, since my hand's already up in that motion, it's naturally gonna pull him away. So whenever you see us holding the leash and stuff, we hold it for very specific reasons. Because shit happens. So if we have like a dog coming over here to sniff his butt, which we actually did that with him, I had him pinned against my leg and I was holding the rear, because then he can't rotate. Because this side of the body can't go this way, and that needs to go this way in order for this to come that way.
Yeah.
So it pins him in position. see the tension,
Yeah.
and they push him. See how he goes against it?
Now, is he not snapping because of the way you're holding the collar, or he's making, or the leash, or is he making the decision not to?
He's overloaded
Okay.
so much because he's right in my space.
Yeah.
So the brain gets kind of overwhelmed. I mean, we did tap him earlier.
Because he's on his sleeve, all the stuff he doesn't like.
Better. See how he's breathing now?
Yeah. So not as grumbling because he's not pinned, or because he's getting used to it, or kind of both?
Getting used to it, else could be all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's got association with it. Good. What's the rep right now?
65.
You can hear all that breathing. So that grumbling and growling is not bad. What he chooses to do after is what we dictate as good or bad, right? Because he's just voicing his displeasure. He's like, hey Jesse, I really don't fucking like you touching on that, right? And I'm like, I know. I gotta do it, man, right? So that's what he's doing. But if it was like earlier growl explosion, we're correcting that explosion. So he's getting to perform like the extreme of the behavior. He's going, all right, like if I do this, this happens. I can grumble. I can only grumble for so long, right? It's like if someone like, if you stub your toe, shit, goddamn, you know,
Right.
but you're only gonna do that for so long before like, it doesn't make sense to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You just let it go. Same thing here, he's voicing all of that, and you can only do it for so long before he's like, all right, well, this is pointless. It's not getting me anywhere, right? I'm just a kid, and he's wasting energy doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we use that to our advantage because he's just tiring himself out. And all I'm really doing is just angering and letting him buck around and fight. So he burns off all that energy, all that negative energy also has to go somewhere and get out of the system. And so eventually I'd be able to do all this stuff, and it's this.
Yeah.
You know, and like we don't get the grumbling anymore, the growling anymore, until I push a new button. Then we might bring back some
Well,
stuff.
that's what you were talking about, all the different silos that you have to run through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because aggression isn't like you could tell a kid like it's not worth the fight over anything, and they would just naturally not fight over anything. You know, someone steals something, I'm not gonna fight you for it. Someone steals a girlfriend, I'm not gonna fight you for it. Call me a name, I'm not gonna fight you for it, right? Dogs don't do that. If he's aggressive around food, if he's aggressive around touching his feet, he's aggressive around coming in personal space, coming in the home, they're all different things, even though the outcome is the same, okay? Right here. So I'm using my foot to prevent him from sitting, okay? It's allowing him to sit.
He would protect himself that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where he's most vulnerable. You see, there's a bit of that when you saw the convulsing and stuff. There he goes. There he goes. I know. There you go. You heard how the breathing changed?
Yeah.
Yep. I know. Good. And all this, right, this has been 15, 20 minutes, but without having to be remoted.
Yeah.
So he's taking all that in. That's good. Okay, so he's choosing to keep it up here now. His brain relaxed. Whew. Hot here. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
You see the thermostat? If
Yeah.
you click on it, it says off. If you just click and then hit cool.
Yep. Blinking.
Okay. And then
Ah,
there you go. Just turn the AC. Shut them there earlier. All right. So here. Prop him up. There you go. Get it. So think about tapping that button as a means of like protection. Like that's when he's most vulnerable.
Yeah.
So like last week when he's booted, that was nice because laying down is a more vulnerable position because if something happens, he has to pop up in order to defend himself as opposed to be seated. He's already ready on the go. So same thing here for sitting down, he's just trying to keep that covered because he feels vulnerable there. So I wanted to keep it up. So I just use my foot as a means of making it uncomfortable for him to sit. So I can keep him, because he has to practice, I can be up, not touching my butt, and Jesse's not gonna hurt me. We're fine, right? But if I let that keep tucking, he's still performing that defense maneuver. He never really gets over the hump of like being in his personal space. So I'm trying to get him, so what I would like to see next is like if he's booted right next to me,
Yeah.
right? If you just lay down and go, okay, cool, like I'm right next to the threat, but I'm too tired to do this anymore. I'm just gonna lay down and see what happens. You know, and then nothing happens. And then the last thing he remembers is I lay down next to Jesse and we were good, okay? So it's like everything that we've been doing, except this guy has so many different triggers, and he likes to go to 11. That's better. He's tapping a little bit.
That's probably pretty consistent, even if we were doing the same thing. He doesn't like to be off balance, and I think that's when he doesn't like to be picked up, because then, you know, obviously he feels as though his defense mechanisms are out of
He's
play.
vulnerable, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'm really the only one that can pick him up without him freaking out.
Sure. So
Limited scenarios.
Yeah.
that's the next thing I'm gonna have to do when he's ready. I mean, I could do it today, but I'm just doing topic by topic. Sure. This is kind of picking up off of what we did last time.
But this is way better.
Yeah, so I changed positioning here. So Beach is even doing that next, that change position. You can see how
Set
that,
him off, yeah.
yeah. All that stuff. As soon as we go back to the previous, the familiar, there. Again, right now,
He's trying so hard.
I know. The side that I'm fighting is the right side. This side, better. See that?
Yep.
This side, this one's just having more issues. Good. So when you guys try to do this with him, does he grumble at you or does he just talk?
Depends what kind of mood he's in. But if he wants to be in a certain position and you try pushing him around, he'll just rumble at you. He leaves it, he does, of course with us, he just leaves you alone.
Yeah, he just wastes his time.
Yeah.
The only time, yeah.
Like, I guess especially, you guess you could use this example when he's up in bed. If he's in a position
We're
that
gonna
he
have to
likes,
start addressing
if
that,
we push
yeah.
him, you know.
Yeah, and then what happened, like you said last night, that he wants to be in the one spot, he has to lay right on top of me. Like, he lays up on my head, and that's it. And Kevin, you can try to move him, and he will lose his shit. And he does not like to be moved.
Gotcha.
That's really the only time in the
Yeah.
house that he, like, but otherwise, you could knock him off the couch, or you could, if
Yeah,
you're
if you're
laying
screwing
on
with
the
him.
couch.
Yeah.
Right, you could lay on the couch and touch his paws there. But really in bed is probably the only place that he holds his ground.
Okay, what I would do there, because there's a couple of answers. One would be to teach him how to get off via a cue, you know, like off or whatever,
Yeah,
with remote. The only issue is if he's really that defensive over you when he's in that personal space, if he still triggers, it's just the problem.
right,
What I would do is just not allow him, because it empowers him too much,
okay.
you know? So,
I guess even from a security standpoint, like with him being at the firehouse, yeah, I think that's what part of it is that Kevin, when he spends 3 nights a week at the firehouse, so he's in bed alone, so I don't know, is that a power thing, or is that a defense thing? What, I guess,
what do you mean?
like, if he knowing that Kevin's not there, if he's, protecting or in defense mode, in that situation, but I guess if, in the same scenario, if Kevin's there, he's doing the same thing, so I guess it's more about, is it a power, like,
Yeah, so dogs are on or
like
off.
territorial, yeah.
Right, territorial, and it's like he's on the bed, and let's say you walk by and you show no interest in the bed, not a problem. As soon as you show interest in the bed, you got a problem, right?
You can get in, no problem. And the other two dogs can move around, no problem. It's if he's in a spot, like if he picks the spot in between us, and if I wanted to get closer to her, that's when I guess if we try to move him, he's okay being totally sandwiched up, no problem. You can lay on top of him, no problem. But if you try to move him, that's when you have an issue.
Okay, so what are 2 answers? One, I just don't allow him up there, okay? Second one would be on a separate training session, you teach him how to go up and how to remove himself with pressure. So you pop him on the leash, dug up, tap, pop him up, good boy, off. Remoting him, pop off, right? Until when he feels the remote, his instinct is just to pop off.
So basically the same thing Enrique did with the car.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
same thing.
Okay,
So you're cueing the entrance and you're cueing the exit.
yeah,
And then my suggestion would be the bed is off limits unless he is told to go up.
okay,
Okay, so he cannot go up on his own accord because then dogs are even more likely to possess or become more territorial. Because he made the decision to go up there and he's like, I'm settled in, I have my spot now, right? Don't try to move me.
so it's a mindset thing, like you said before, we made the decision for him to come up, so he's doing it on our terms as opposed to his own,
Technically, yes.
yeah,
Now, technically, it should prevent him from becoming defensive, but it could still happen.
sure,
And then what I would do is I wouldn't even try to push him off to see what happens. If you're saying he's good with being sandwiched, is when we try to remove him, I just put him off and completely avoid the pushing.
Got it.
Because he doesn't tie the two together. Now, once you push him and he's already pissed off, and then you're like off, now we got a problem because he's already in that zone.
Okay.
So it's like resource guarding. People typically
So
think-
off, we reposition, then he can come up.
Correct.
Basically.
Yep.
oh, okay,
Yeah. So like with resource guarding, the dog has a bone. A lot of people go for the bone. As soon as you go for the bone, the dog triggers, right? And I go, you don't need to even do that. Just tell the dog to release it and disengage from the object, and then I can pick it up. So I can completely work around the fight. I don't need to start the fight and then try to issue the control, because that makes things too complicated.
Yeah.
There's already confrontation involved, and then we're more likely to see something because the dog already has a target. Because he's going, oh, we're in confrontation now. And typically, if we have a negative response, people tend to be like, no, oh, what a bad dog.
yeah,
Now negative energy comes in, and now we have an even bigger movement, right? So if it was just like, I approach the bed, dug off, whoop, I hop on, get adjusted. All right, Doug, you can back up now.
Got it.
Right? And then if I know I need to get up, and I'm like, I think getting up's gonna be a problem, off. He jumps off. Then I get off, do my thing. But technically, he shouldn't be able to go back on again because I keep him off, so it's off limits. Then I can hop back into bed. All right, Doug, come back up again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're operating a step ahead. But you want to do that exercise of up and off outside of the problem.
Right.
You know, make it like its own training session.
Yeah.
2 times a day, 3 to 5 minutes. You can even pair food with it. In response to the pressure, he jumps up, good boy, jumps off, good boy. Because you're just trying to incentivize him. When I say off, you hop off, remote happens.
Yeah.
It disappears when you get off, but then you also get something out of it. Because that's more training than it is behavioral.
Yeah.
It's behavioral in the sense that it puts you a step ahead of Doug, so we avoid conflict.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Questions on that?
No, that totally makes sense.
Okay. I'll hand this guy. Okay. Very good. So, easier than last time, which is good. It's always what we want to see as things get easier. We were able to push a bit more. So, we'll see how next week turns out, okay? The goal for next week would be to pick up with the batting of the sleeve, going to more touch, changing the positioning, potentially picking up, okay? Might be a joke a little bit, correct it or whatever. And I think we would be ready for the next step of someone entering the home,
Okay.
okay? And then from there we start to put those things together. So then I'll send Enrique again.
Okay.
He would do the front door exercise. I'll send you a video as well to watch and review, so you
Okay.
kind of maybe what's gonna happen. Enrique would come in, see how he does, and then most likely go to more tech stuff to see what we've done, what have we done here, but then carry it into the home setting,
Okay.
okay?
So on his territory as opposed to yours.
Correct,
Outside.
okay? And if it's an easy stop, and then he's not rolling up and stuff, or if he is rolling up, it's just a couple taps and he's settling, probably give it another in-home with Enrique, and make sure that we're practicing that exercise correctly. See what sticks with the touch stuff. If it's relatively smooth, the next one would be guests. That would be comfortable with Enrique there.
Okay.
So Enrique will show up first, he coaches you everything. You have your guests, so if Enrique comes at 1:15, your guests will come over, and then see what transfers went, what we did in the exercise to the guest. If everything's looking good and you feel comfortable, you feel confident, now we start pushing towards, having people come over. Easiest way in the beginning is if it's the same consistent person.
Okay.
And then once you feel like he's over a good hump with that person, and you feel like he's pretty relaxed, now a new person, okay? If you do too many different types,
Yeah,
it can be, it keeps them in this realm. And we want to expose them, get them over it, make it pretty smooth, next person,
Yeah.
okay?
That makes sense.
If it wasn't, usually we're already doing this by class 4 or 5. I think this is class 6, so we're thinking class 9, 10, right? Just because of how hard he is to dial down. And what I don't want is that he becomes a spaz, and it's like last week or the week that we had together, where it's just difficult, and your guest is just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it as easy as possible so that your guest isn't like freaked out, they're not stressed out, because it affects humans obviously. So you guys know,
Right.
we're used to it. So it's like fighting fighters, right?
Yeah.
You get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
So here, if all that's going well, then you just keep doing that when you can, and then we pick up on more obedience, more control that way, and those things kind of just work hand side by side, and just see where we get.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That sounds good.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Good. And then what did we end up at the end?
65, but we haven't done it in,
Yeah,
probably
like
half an
30
hour.
30 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's good.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So. Very good. A couple of explosions, but he settled down much more quickly. So then we'll plan for that. So next week is another one here,
Yeah.
and then the following week or two would be Enrique going over everything going smoothly.
Okay,
Perfect. Awesome. Good job, guys.
that sounds
All right,
good.
thank you.
All right, we're gonna correct him on the way home though with the barking at the